Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another Scale Riders podcast episode covering model car culture from around the world. I am your host, 65 Lokes, celebrating 2 years as ScaleRiders.com online hobby store. Man, it's crazy. 2 years have gone by. But besides that, I'm excited for tonight's guest, Mike North, all the way from Boise, Idaho. Excited for this one. Northwind Customs 208 on Instagram. If you guys want to check out his work, make sure you check him out right there. He does some amazing stuff. We're going to get to know Mike, know his history, and just, process with building. Does such amazing work. So let's just go right ahead and get right into this episode. I hope you guys enjoy.
Hello,
Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing?
doing great, and yourself?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor.
Awesome, man. Dude, I'm looking forward to it. Just from seeing like your work on Instagram, I'm like, dude, Mike's like dope. Why haven't I had him on? Like, I trip out. Like all this time has passed, and I've been seeing your stuff, and I'm just like, dude, we definitely gotta talk.
I'm. It's probably because I'm a little bit antisocial, and it's been a hard thing to break out of the shell and actually
Right on.
share my experiences and my building with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. No, man. I mean, it's all good. So, I mean, the platform's here, and there's a lot of things I want to get right into. And first of all, I noticed on like your latest post on Instagram, you've been showcasing some like 3D printed like cars and parts. Tell us about that. Are you like printing this at home?
Yes, yes. I have four printers in my hobby room.
Wow. And what's your impression and your thoughts on like 3D printing now?
It's really really cool, and it's a really cool tool to embrace and really make some really cool builds out of it. Where, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, everything was scratch built or resin cast, you can get such a finer detail with the 3D printer. And it's just a tool that I really have come to really, really enjoy. Um, the the silver car that I've been working on, the belly tanker, that's one that I did design. The engine is not my design, and the seat is not my design. It's actually part of a build off. But the whole rest of the car, I did the CAD work on, and then I printed it. And you can make something with a 3D printer in a matter of hours that would take you months upon months upon months to scratch build.
Yeah, wow. It's I like what you said about embracing, embracing this technology. It makes me think about going back when model building and people started to scratch build and resin casting. I could imagine the resin casting at that time could have been, was something like revolutionary, like changing the game.
Exactly. It 100% changing the game where you didn't have to buy three different kits to be able to get enough parts to put the one car that you have in your vision together. You can do it with just one now.
Man, it's crazy. And then now, I mean, I feel like when the 3D printing was being introduced to modelers, like people were starting to, get their printers and start messing with, with the apps and everything with the programming. I feel like, a lot of people definitely did embrace it and jumped in very eager, wanting to learn. And now you're starting to see, within the last like couple years of people doing their homework and helping each other, asking questions to the point where it's at now. Now we're consistently seeing a lot of stuff being printed all the time.
I have three cars now that I'm currently working on that are 100% 3D printed. There's no plastic parts in them, and
Wow.
to make something that they never made, they've never. The two pictures that I posted on there are of Ariel Adams, and it's a track car in England, and they are super popular. and they've started to come over to the U.S. now, but they've never made a kit for it. This belly tanker that I have, I bought a vacuum formed kit for one, and I never really liked how it fit and worked. And well, I have the ability. I can design it. I can print it. I can make exactly what I want now.
Man, that's crazy. And as far as like 3D printing, when you started getting into it, did you get it right away as far as like the design aspect, using the software?
Um, it was a hard road. Um, so I opened Northwind Customs, and I that's actually when my Instagram presence started. Is so I have my Facebook profile, which is my own name, and then I have Instagram, which was supposed to just be the business basically. And I started it December of 2019, and I felt that I started it at exactly the right time, and I felt I closed at the right time too. It held me through the months that we were locked down. It gave me a huge project to learn how to design with the lockdowns. I had a lot of extra time. I had a lot of extra thought, and I could just sit there and make stuff work. I was lucky enough that I was an essential employee, so I did go to work every week, and that was really, really good for me. Um, but I self-taught myself design. I'm a car mechanic by trade. I look at front ends and brakes and fronts of engines and stuff like that all day, and it just kind of transferred over, and it was very seamless for me. But I'm also the guy that eats, sleeps, and breathes cars, whether they be full size or little cars.
Oh man, that's dope. That's cool. So yeah, like, I could see how that being like a really good benefit of staying, busy, keeping the mind busy, wanting to learn something new, and just, going through those challenges up to the point where you're at now. Now, tell us about your business. What is it that you offer for the listeners?
So I offer basically 3D printing services, more when I feel like it than anything else because I want to build, and that was the trade-off. I had the business open for 2 years. It was always profitable. It always worked. Um, but I wanted to build again, and I wanted to build my projects, and I'm glad that I made that choice and that decision. I still have some projects that I do. I have a lowered frame that fits underneath the 125th short bed pickups. That one is it's always popular, and I do provide those. Um, I'm on the fence on whether I want to provide the bomber, but we'll see how things go when that project finalizes.
And as far as like your workspace, do you keep your bench and everything together along with your printers in the same room, or do you kind of have it in different areas?
So um, when I started 3D printing, everybody told me that the smell was going to drive me crazy. I'm in a lot more caustic chemicals and smells at work. It didn't bother me one bit. I have them in the same room. I have my workbench on one wall, and I have a gaming chair actually that my resin bench is on the other wall, and I just swivel from bench to bench basically.
Oh, nice. How are those chairs? Are they pretty comfortable? Those gaming chairs?
Um, I bought the cheaper one, and I realize why it's cheaper, but it's not bad. I think I paid like $150 for this chair, and it's good. It's comfortable. It fits me, which I'm tall and lanky, and it's hard to find a chair that fits me. Um, but it was a good investment.
Nice. Yeah, I'm still looking for a chair. I have just recently one of my friends was telling me like, "Yo, check out this chair that he saw on Instagram recently." I guess some people that use it. I'll send you a link so you can check it out too. I just can't remember
Okay.
the name the name of that brand, but But I don't know. I feel like I need to find like something more comfortable than what I'm currently using right now.
Being comfortable is a really important part in it. It really is.
Yeah, no, yeah, because I mean that chair sometimes it could you could be sitting on it and then within half an hour your back's already giving out. Like it's just tiring.
Exactly. My wife has a problem where she works at a computer all day, so she doesn't want to sit in her gaming chair when she gets home for obvious reasons. Where I stand all day, it's kind of nice to actually sit down every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, dude. Because yeah, man, it just I feel like it's, a lot of the times that prevents from building. Not feeling that comfortable on there.
Exactly. Exactly. Not feeling comfortable. I mean, and anything can do it. The house too hot, the house too cold. There's lots of things that can affect that. But being able to be comfortable really gives you the proper mindset to get really creative.
Yeah, and as far as like your workflow, like you have your job, but then once that's all said and done, are you you know, like is the first thing you kind of do when you get to your bench, right? Like right away continue on a build, or are you kind of in the mood of like let me mess with some 3D printing files?
Um, I play with files and build at the same time. Um, if I'm if I'm actively designing stuff, then I clear my projects away from my desk, and I that's my focus at that point. But if I'm just running prints on the printer, then no, I'll pop a print in, I'll start working. A couple hours later, pull the print off and put another one on.
Nice. Did you ever have issues in the beginning with like when you would print the file and get the product that it would be like either soft or kind of sticky?
Um, that was a really bad time, especially just as the lockdown hit. The supply of isopropyl alcohol, which is what I use to clean mine with, went away
Ooh.
because it was all becoming hand sanitizer.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really difficult, and there were some prints that I mean, I put out some prints that I was not happy with how clean they were, but it had been through the cleaner like 3 times, and it still wasn't there yet, just because there was nothing to do with it, and you can't just wash it with water. It has to have that stripping agent of the alcohol in it. That was really difficult, and at that point in time, I did slow production, and I transferred more stuff onto a filament printer, which doesn't have the same clarity, but it got products in people's hands.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's interesting because like that's something I don't hear people talk about. Like what you said, like the supply of it not being available at the time. But I mean now for sure, I bet you could find it.
It's gone back to available now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like triple the price of what it was,
Mm.
but you can at least buy it where before you couldn't. So prior to the lockdown, I was buying I think it's a 16-ounce bottle of isopropyl alcohol for like $4. Uh, During the lockdown, I had to buy a gallon of it, and I paid like $95 for the gallon of it.
Oh
And
dang.
yeah, it was bad. I tried like three different other ways to clean the resin. I tried degreasers. I tried simple green. They said that was supposed to work. That I It did not work for me. It may work for some people, but it did not work for me. And then uh, supply started to come back in, and I got a lot more savvy with going to the Walgreens or the CVS or the grocery stores where I would get the alcohol. Instead of going on my way home, I would make sure that I was the first person there in the morning. They had two bottles set up for the day, and you could buy a maximum of two. So I stocked up that way, just buying smarter than I was before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm imagining you like pulling up. All right, I'm here. Cool. Get the two. All right, let's get out.
That's pretty much the way that it went. You went in the store, and this Albertsons, which is my grocery store that's right down the corner of my house, but they're open before I go to work, and they stocked at like I think they said they stocked at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I leave for work at 7. I left 15 minutes early. Go in, and it is the farthest corner from the door is where the stuff is at. So you are just beeline with a quick walk to get there. You get your stuff, you get out, go to work, and come home, and then I can print some more.
Yeah, that's tight. And tell us about. I want to know your history. I want to know when like you got exposed to model building. Were you a kid or as an adult? I want to know it all from the beginning.
Okay. I actually have my first kit, the very first one still. I was 6 years old when me and my dad we did it together. He built models in the 70s when he was a kid. I'm a kid of the very early 80s, and in 1986 is when this one model kit came out. It's called Diamond in the Rough. It's got a 53 Ford pickup, a trailer, and a 40 Ford car that is all beat up, and it's the only time that they've issued that kit. I don't have the truck or the trailer, but I have that car that me and my dad built back then. Probably 9 or 10, I was on to doing my own models. Didn't have any help at that point in time. Uh, Spray painting on the back patio, which didn't ever really end up well, but it got done. Um, I quickly learned to love the idea of kit bashing and get as many kits as I can, and then I'd build all sorts of weird stuff out of it, which was it was really a lot of fun, and it was a good creative thing to grow up with. I didn't do sports when I was a kid. I had a really hard time breathing when I was younger, so sports was kind of a no go. So I would build models, go to school, build models, and on the weekends I would go out and my dad would go out through the country where we lived and would find old like 2-ton trucks and farm equipment and stuff like that and sell it off as scrap. Go talk to the farmer and basically we'll take care of this old truck that you got. And I did a lot of that when I was a kid and learned a huge love for old trucks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, and I kind of kept that part going on. Um, then we then I graduate. I move 1,000 miles south of where I grew up. Um, I am in Idaho, by the way. I am one of the weird potato people, I guess you would call it.
And as far as going back to the building as a kid, did you have any friends
Yep.
that were also building too, or no? Or was it just you by
You know,
yourself?
growing up in the early 80s and 90s in Idaho, that's kind of something that everybody did. I mean, model shops were a thing back then, and that was also during the time that Walmart had all of their kits. So kits were readily available. They were all over the place. And my best friend just down the street, he built models, I built models. Um, I mean, there were a couple that ended with firecrackers and stuff like that, but um, most of them I ended up keeping.
I bet they bring a lot of memories when you look at them. They probably take you back.
There's a little bit of that, and then there's a lot of what was I thinking?
Uh-huh.
Why did I put this together this way? This doesn't make any logical sense to me at all. But they're kind of cool.
Mhm. And do you trip out on like so far what you know now compared to like back then in those early stages of what you were doing?
I was pretty confident in my skills when I was a kid. It was probably not quite the skills that I should have thought that I had. Um, I wish that I knew then what I know now.
Yeah. Were you even primering your cars, or not even that?
Sometimes they got paint, sometimes they didn't get paint. It all depended on how fast I wanted to build it,
Hmm.
on how much of a need it was to get this thing done.
Yeah, I still remember like just putting models down on top of a cardboard box and just
Yep,
spraying them.
half a can of paint, half a can of paint.
Yep. And
Go back about 3 days later, and it's still kind of wet.
yeah, not really being fully like dry, just leaving it there on the sun.
Yep, yep, I've done that. I painted on the snow. That was an interesting one.
Oh man.
That took a long time to dissipate.
Hmm.
We had a red snowbank for probably 2 or 3 weeks.
That's crazy. And as far as like the types of cars and models that you built, what are like what's like your favorite style or genre of cars
Currently, or when I was a kid.
when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, 50s and 60s. That was the 50s and 60s, more like stockish stuff than anything else. Just classic cars. That was kind of the same thing my dad was into, so I just kind of followed suit. And it was that was the majority of it, and a lot of pickup stuff. Pickups are big.
Mm-hmm. And now as an adult,
I'm an import guy.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100% an import guy.
yeah. I wanted to bring up that NSX trio build off that you guys
Yes,
did with
yes,
Brandon and Scott. And
yes.
I talking with Brandon a while back, some earlier this year, he was telling me about this, that you guys were gonna get this going and everything, and then just seeing that progression in the post regarding that, and then just seeing how it was all coming together. Um, Tell us about that experience, about that build off.
It is so much fun. The duo trio build offs that me and Brandon do. We've done three of them now. Yeah, because we did one with just the two of us, and we did Integras. Then we did a concept truck. Then we did a Civic and Integra one again. Then the NSX, and now we're back into another Integra build off. But they are so much fun. It is the highlight of fun that can be had.
Yeah, when you're doing a build off, like, is it hard for you to ever, like as far as delivering, with the time frame that you get?
Um, it can be. It can be. So for me, I've got a different perspective with build offs for when I build something in the build off. I focus on one part of the car and try to make it epic. The rest of the car will kind of come together, but I don't worry myself too much about it. So if I'm focusing on the interior on say this next build off, then I'm just going to let the body go the way that it goes. I'm going to let the suspension go the way that it goes and not focus too much on that part of it. And then the next build off you go into, you switch it up and you go to another part of it. So that when you're done after a year or a year and a half of doing build offs in that method, you've got a whole car that the quality is super, super good. And you're just improving tiny little things to make them that much better.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense right there. I like what you said right there with that concept of just like focusing on like a specific area per build.
exactly. And then that time frame isn't so bad because you've got 2 months that you're basically working on an interior. Or let's take that back. You've got a month and a half that you're working on the interior, and you've got 2 weeks that you built the rest of the car. And then really gives you that time to hone in on those skills and really put forth the best product that you can.
Yeah, and when you're doing your build, are you already visually seeing the end game, like the end part of how it's gonna come out, as far as like the color that you want on that body, the wheels that you're gonna go with, or do you just kind of do a mock up, but then you're still kind of like brainstorming as you're going through it, like, man, I'm not sure really what color to paint this car.
Colors, I can go either way with on any build at any point in time. The color just speaks to me as it goes through. But if I don't have a vision for the way that the car is going to look when I get done, um, I 99% of the time it won't finish.
Mm-hmm.
I will lose my steam in it if I can't nail down the whole vision of it, the stance of it, the wheels, tires, and the engine and stuff like that. That's a fail point for me that I can't get past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That the blue NSX, the one you did, is the wide body, is that are those 3D printed parts that you made?
They are. I didn't design them, but I did print them. Those
Mm-hmm.
are files by Black Box.
Dude, it looks so dope. I was like staring at that for a while, and I was
It
like, man, I don't know. I love looking at wide body cars.
Wide body the world. That's the motto I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you ever like put rivets on the wide body?
I haven't as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have had a hard time with photo etch. I can't really get a good grasp on it to where I'm successful with it. Um, so I've used panel line and tooth pick with a little bit of paint to do that. But I've had a hard time with that. That's something that is photo etch is something I need to work more into. I just got to have the right kits to make that work in build offs or doing it for myself.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with the photo etch. It can be challenging. With my friend Slowly Models, we talked about that before, where we're kind of like, oh, this is such a cool kit, and then when we talk about, oh, look, they also offer photo etch, but the pieces in that photo etch kit could be more than 20 little pieces in there, and we're like, oh man, like that seems a bit kind of intimidating, just because there's so many like parts. But then once you kind of mess with it a little on certain areas, you see those enhancements. You're like, dude, this does look pretty cool though. But it's
Exactly.
all like
Exactly.
baby steps. I'm still like little baby steps like towards the photo etch stuff.
Exactly. I did photo etch in the rally Subaru that I did. It had a photo etch in the box, and I don't know whether it actually came in the kit or whether it was added into it. But I bought the kit used. It was fresh, but it was used, and it had photo etch in it. It had die cast wheels in it to match the actual correct ones for one rally. Um, I didn't use those, but I did use the photo etch in it, and the stomp grates for where your feet go. I love the way they went in. They added so much to the interior, and I spent probably a week trying to put the shifter together, and I gave up on that.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
there's just some parts that are just hard. I mean, I appreciate when I see it done by other people, what they do to their cars, and I'm just like, man, I don't know how you did it, but it looks awesome.
exactly, when done right, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, yeah. But the good thing is that like it's not like we're in a crazy rush. Like we have all this time, right? And we're just kind
Exactly,
of taking it day by day and week by
exactly,
week on these builds.
exactly.
That's cool. When when do you ever reach like a period of time where you kind of take a break, like just to kind of refresh, where you say, all right, I'm not gonna, you know, dabble in any 3D printing or any kind of building. I just kind of want to, you know, refresh my mind and then jump back into it.
With design, that has to happen a lot. Design is a lot more brain power than I have at times. So when you're actually drawing it out on the CAD program, that I can quickly get to a point where I need to step away from this, or it's just going to ruin, and it won't be to where I can save it. Um, Printing the stuff, I mean, it's operating the printers, pushing buttons is all that it is. So that's not too big of a deal. I pretty much build every night or every other night. I don't have TV shows that I watch and stuff like that. And modeling is kind of a place for a video game addiction that I could easily have again. And I can spend 5 or 6 hours a night uh, building, or I can spend 5 or 6 hours a night gaming, um, which is probably smarter for my head. Building, of course.
Mm, right on. And when you were doing like gaming, like back then, were you building too, or it was kind of like that was turned off for a while, where you were just
I was
focusing?
turned off for a
Okay.
while. So to bridge the gap, went to college. I went to college in Phoenix, and I built while I was in college, and I built probably 60 or 70 cars in 11 months time.
Dang.
Um,
Yeah.
I did schoolwork, I did a full-time job, and I built model cars. That's about all that I ended up with. When I graduated, I found that I do enjoy to party, and I did a little bit of that. Then I came back to Idaho and met a woman, and I've been in Idaho since.
Nice.
So it's really good though. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope. And with now, with Instagram, we go on
Yes.
there every day. We see, everybody busting out, whether it's like a new product or a current build, like the status showing us where they're at the point, and some complete builds. You know, do you find Instagram, like the model community, be like very inspiring every day?
Very much so. Very much so. Um, I'm in a really good group of people in Instagram that really want to bring the creativity to a next level. And you can look at look, Brandon's paint jobs for once. I cannot believe how deep his paint jobs have been the last 3 or 4 builds that he's done. Just
Mm.
improving to improving. And I get to see him daily, which is really cool too. He sends me pictures all the time on it. So it's really awesome for that part. And the creative part and the community part of it is awesome. It is exactly what I needed.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing like how you said about his paint jobs, like he keeps busy pushing and pushing, and it just keeps, like I'm like, damn, like I never seen that before, it's it I feel like he's experimenting on stuff, but the execution is coming out dope, that I'm like, wait a minute, like, it makes it almost like it makes you feel like you do have that freedom to do what you want, you know, and
Exactly.
express yourself
Exactly.
in that paint.
100% express yourself in the paint. There's that is it is perfect.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, every day I go on, even if, like, let's just say if there's some hours that I don't go on, but then when I jump on, it's like I have to scroll. I have to keep scrolling down, like, to see what I missed, you know?
Oh
And
yes.
and then now I just feel like there's just so much content coming up, coming up, coming up, that then you see a post, and then you just have to go on the person's page, and then you realize, man, what the heck? They've already posted
I'm
like two or three prior to this?
I've missed like 3 weeks of this build, and I don't understand. How did you get from there to here?
Yeah.
And I missed it all, but it's easy to find, which is really good.
Yeah. No, yeah. And then, you guys together also are hosting the Now or Never build off as well.
Yes, we are. Yes,
Um,
we are.
you know, explain to us about that for the listeners. I know with Brandon and that episode we have talked about it, but it's all I don't know. I always get excited hearing about the build offs.
The build offs are the biggest draw for me. It really is. Um, so I'm gonna step you back one step there further. When I quit gaming and started model building, all I did was the build offs. They weren't on Instagram, they were on Facebook. 1 to 2 month times, just build, 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 build. I did that since 2012. Now, in 2019, when I decided to start the business, I was fresh into Instagram. A friend from Facebook had sent me towards Andy McQueen, which Andy and Brandon are the ones that started Now or Never. And I bought some parts from Andy. There were some decals that he had shipped over for me. Really cool. Everything was awesome. Then they told me about this build off. I said, I'll supply it for you. I'll supply parts for it. And that's how the whole thing started with me and Brandon. And then after not too long, they said, "Why don't you help us be an admin? You're always in the chats. You're always talking." And I got into that part there. And me and Brandon worked so well together that I don't see an end to it stopping. I Up, up, up. That's definitely the way it's going to go.
Yeah, that's cool. And as far as like doing the build offs now, this year, when you reflect back at this year, like 2022, does it kind of just trip you out, like all the people that participated in it, people, I'm sure a lot of people who did it reach goals, like they learned something where they wanted to take that build, and part of that motivation came from you guys from hosting this build off.
I hope so. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we do it is to help everybody out there and to help the hobby as a whole.
Yeah, because it's also like a jump starter for someone who's just coming back from building, who stopped back then and wants to get back into it, or just someone who's like, you know what, I really want to like push myself and commit to wanting to complete something in 2 months.
And that's been a bit of a challenge at times throughout the years of the build offs is you have the very experienced builder that wants to compete at a very high level. And then you have the people that are just coming back, whether it be because of retirement, because of injury, because of COVID, because of any of it, that they've really had a hard time being on a level field, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We did start a juniors build off in the ideas that it isn't competition based and it isn't necessarily prize based. It's more skills based, and it's supposed to be the intermediate so that some of these guys that are coming back and fresh can have some helpful stepping stones to be able to play with the big guys.
Yeah, yeah, because it's one of those things where you could look back, at a year, particular year that you entered the build off, and you realize, hey, during that time when I was in that build off, so and so was in it too, and these are like some high level experienced builders, and to some people that that are paying attention to that, it could mean a lot to be
Exactly.
participating, doing something together. because we're all like spread out, right? Like far away. We all live in different states, different cities, and others live farther away out of the US that participate in these. But we're all like, everyone still has this connection talking to each other online. But then again, everyone who's in this build off, you're sharing something. You're a part of something.
We're one big happy family.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, um, I I still think about when I joined Instagram back then and to where it's at now, and you do see times where there's some people who kind of drop out for a while and you don't see them active online, but then you'll see them again. They pop up and you're like, dude, like what the heck, like where you been? But now I feel like it's a little more than that. I feel like now we have each other's phone numbers. We got our emails. We're connected on like on Facebook on something. So like if a person
Exactly.
drops out of Instagram for a while, you could still hit them up right away, just to check up,
Exactly.
reach out,
Exactly.
what's up, what's going on. Like I feel like the relationships, the connections are a little bit more deeper now than just, oh well, I'll just wait till he's online and we'll chat online.
I can agree with that 100%.
Yeah, it's crazy. What are like your plans for next year? We're this year's pretty much already a wrap. We're entering 2023 pretty soon, and a lot of the times, we could see the beginning of a new year as like a motivational thing, as to I want to do something different, or I want to add this to my list of things that I want to get done. For you, have you thought about 2023 as far as like something that you want to tackle?
Uh, in the building side of it, not so much. I would like to attend more shows next year than I did last year and most definitely the years before. Um, I love to go to shows. I love to shop at the vendors. I love to see new products that people have got and stuff like that. And that's definitely a missing part. I'd like to do some more of that next year. Um, we've got a couple of really cool years set up, both in the model car build off and in Now or Never with themes. It's going to be a fun one.
Man, that's cool. Yeah, regarding like the shows, that's another topic
Mhm.
I wanted to bring up. Like where you live in your area, are there like a lot of shows throughout the year, or how's that like out there?
So I live in the largest city in Idaho. Um, every other year, there's a show in Boise. It's put on by the local IPMS group. And for a lot of different reasons, I usually don't attend that one. Um, then there's a show like 7 hours north of me, and I think that's every other year as well. Seattle, I've been to there to go to shows. I've been to Portland to go to shows. I've been to Colorado to go to shows. I've been to Salt Lake to go to shows. I've been to Vegas to go to shows. So it just means a lot of driving for me.
Damn, I was gonna say, man, you're like driving far. You're busting those missions.
We went to Colorado twice this year, and it's a long drive.
Yeah, like how many hours is that to
13
Colorado?
each way,
Oh wow.
13 one way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dang. Right on. It's a trip because like for where I live, the farthest show that I could say like that I've been to is like NNL West, which is like in Northern California, and it's only like close to a 6 hour drive. And I don't know. Sometimes I think, oh, like it's far or whatever. It's really not that far, you know. Like,
So to Reno, which is the Nevada side of that road, basically, if you continue on that road, that'll take you into Sacramento.
hmm
It's 9 hours from my house to Reno, and then probably another 3 hours, I would guess, to Sacramento from Reno.
hmm man, are you considering possibly going to NNL West next year?
Um, it doesn't really work on my weekend, but I would like
Hmm.
to.
Yeah.
Um, I would probably fly in, so I'd maybe take one or two builds type of a thing. I don't think the airline is going to be too helpful to my fragile stuff.
Hmm. Right.
So um, I've had success mailing kits to Brandon. Um, there was a show that I couldn't go to in Colorado, and I mailed him a couple of my builds, and then I picked them up when I was there a month later. And I've had success with that before. It is a risk, of course,
Yeah.
uh, but I sent kits that, I mean, if they get broke, I'll just build another one.
Yeah. Dang. I remember one of the homies, H Town Model Shop from Texas.
Yeah.
Freddie had sent he had sent me a box with like I want to say I don't know if it was two or three of his I think it was two of his cars over to me to take to shows out here because he wasn't able to come out. And man, I remember he sent them out in this big box and like they were packed like all protected and everything, right?
Yep.
And he even paid extra with the company that he shipped them to handle them with care and all this stuff. And man, they did not listen. They still like bang this box up. You know,
Yep.
when I got it, I was like, yo, like before I even opened it, I was already taking photos of the box, and I was hitting them up and being like, dude, you got to check out the box. But I opened everything. Everything looked fine, but there was like some small stuff, the antennas and side view mirrors that were like that fell. And
It's really hard to protect those
oh
when you
man,
transport.
yeah, yeah. And then but I told him, don't worry, I'll glue the things on carefully. And I just remember like pulling that stuff out, clearing my bench, and making sure I did everything very carefully because I'm like, these aren't my models.
It's
And
super stressful.
stressful responsibility right here. Like I gotta
Yep.
make sure this is cool. Did it, and then even that, taking him to the shows. I remember being like, all right, I'm gonna set up his models first, and then I'm gonna set up mine. But setting up his models were a little bit. I was a bit more stressed doing that. I'm over here putting on a glove too to like handle them, like that cotton glove, and
Yep.
in mine I was just grabbing them, like whatever, like putting them here and there. But for his, I was like, nah, like and once it was once it was all said and done, I had to just pack everything all carefully. And when the time came to ship them back, I remember even taking photographs of when I opened it just to
Uh
see
huh.
how he packed it because I was going like, all right, when I put his stuff back in, I gotta like pack in all that extra like stuff that he put in there for protection. And I
Exactly.
just want to make sure everything fits cool. But dude, it was it was pretty stressful right there.
I've transported a couple of builds for some of my. We kind of have this little local club, and it's mainly we just get together, we trade some kits, we talk about how everybody's lives going, and stuff like that. No competition in any part of that. But I took a couple of Dennis's cars to Seattle to a show over there, and I kind of have a interesting way that I transport my models, and I've yet to have it fail on me. Knock on wood, of course. But I pack them in a cooler, and then I make sure that the cooler's packed tight with towels so that nothing can move around in there, and it seems to insulate them and does really good, especially on like bumpy roads and stuff like that. That I've been very successful with that for long
Nice.
distance type transportations.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because it's very I don't know, like you got to be very careful with these cars.
Yes.
Um, and just mailing them is like it's kind of like nerve wracking, like a headache. Like, oh, I hope everything goes good. But the transporting thing, like if you could do that drive, I think you'll be fine. You know, definitely. Um, so like you're going to all these shows in different states, like different areas, all around like your radius, but like in different directions.
Yep.
Have you always done this, like throughout the years, attending different shows?
20 2014 was the first time I started venturing out to shows,
Hmm.
and that
Dang.
was to Seattle.
Yeah. And you know, like when you're on your way to the show, obviously, you know, you're excited, you're looking forward to it, and you're pumped. Leaving the show, does it feel like? Do you ever feel like, man, it feels like it's taking forever to get home, or because you're probably tired or something, or are you feeling like pretty still like inspired, like, man, I can't wait to get home and work on some stuff.
So we have a way that we look at it here in my family that if we're going to go somewhere, we make a mini vacation out of it. So we very rarely do a back and forth run. We'll stay a day or two and go and see some of the sites and stuff like that. So that way, my wife and my daughter can they only have to endure one little bit of the vacation that is not their favorite thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or some cool stuff.
That's tight, dude. I've been thinking about that too. Like, cause how old's your daughter?
She is 15.
15. Okay, okay. Yeah, my daughter's 2 right now, and I know right now she won't even trip. She's happy wherever she goes, you know.
Exactly.
Uh, but I already know that once they reach, you know, start reaching like teenage years, it's different. It's like they're gonna speak up, you know. But I was like already kind of thinking about that. Like, all right, you know, next year I want to attend more shows, but I know as she grows, I kind of have to somehow like what you're doing, like plan it like it's like a family trip, you know, where it's
So
like you got to tell me. You break it down. What do you recommend?
so for a this is what we did. This was a few years back. So probably 2018. Yeah, 2017 or 2018. Um, we drove from Boise to Las Vegas, which is 11 hours, 12 hours, something along the lines of that. We spent with the first day was was a show in Vegas. Then we spent 3 quarters of that week in Vegas exploring. So we went and we saw all the sites. We went and saw the Hoover Dam. We ate at really fancy places. We went and saw shows and stuff like that and had a really fun vacation. And then on the way back, right up the I-15 is Salt Lake, and we stayed and we did GSL, which it just happened to work out on our thing. So in 2 weeks, I went to two shows and had one huge vacation out of it.
Oh, that sounds so good, so awesome. And then again, since you know you had family time, right? Like doing all these things
Exactly.
together, all these building up these memories, you don't feel as like bad, you know, meaning like that this was just about you and these shows, right? That it's almost like you didn't offer nothing to your family. It's like, nah, like we made this a family trip and everybody's happy.
Exactly. Exactly. We went and we saw things. We
That's dope.
experienced life together,
Hmm.
and that's really for me. That's the best way that I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes so much sense, man. Thanks for sharing that too.
No worries. No worries.
Because yeah, it's one of those things, you know, like we, you know, as modelers we know why we love this stuff. You know, we know why we have these connections and we want to do all these things, and you know, you want to drive far, and like sometimes, you know, whether it's our significant others, our wives, or even a family member that doesn't build or anything, right? They sometimes don't understand. Like they know we're passionate, they know we're into it, but they're kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that, you know. But then but you still want to involve them into it, you know?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and it's like that's just the best thing you could do right there. It's like, all right, let's make a family trip out of it. You know, that way everyone's happy, and at the same time, like we get to experience something together.
Exactly. Exactly. You go and you see the Space Needle together. You go and I mean car museums, that's something that I we also do. So whatever town you're going to, you got to see the car museum that's there, and you eat at the fancy restaurants. You have good family time, and it is really a lot. It's worth it.
Hmm. Have have you and like Brandon ever met up like in person, like just to like build or just chill?
Um, I don't think we've ever built together.
Hmm.
We've built many a times over video chat.
Okay.
Um, but Brandon was in the middle of his move between Colorado and Washington, and Boise's right in the middle of that. So
Mm.
he would always stop by my house, and we would talk and have a good time. And it was a good way for him to stretch his legs and get ready for the next leg of his journey.
Yeah.
And he did that a couple of times, and then in I think it was April, I went over there to that show, and I went alone that time, and it was just a drive over. I spent a day hanging out with Brandon, and then drove home. And then the second time that we went, me and my wife went, and we stayed at the fancy casino hotel that's there in Denver or outside of Denver, and it was really fun. We had a good time.
That's
And
dope.
Brandon and his girlfriend they come up to where we were staying at, and we had dinner, and we walked around and played the machines a little bit, and just had a good time together. Modeling brought us together, but that's not what why we're there too.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like it's more than the building, you know. It's that friendships right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, cause I was wondering like how far you probably were from him, but then I figured, oh, you guys are probably not too far from each other.
It's he's on the like middle of the Rockies, and I'm on the desert side of the Rockies.
Hmm. Dang, you guys live in area. I've never even been out there, bro. Like I've traveled. It's weird. Like I've traveled to like farther like places, but I've never really explored my country, the U.S., which is kind of strange.
My wife grew up that way. That she had been a lot of places, but she hadn't seen anything that was there.
Hmm.
And um, then when we got together, that's how my family did vacations. So if we did a vacation, it was a driving vacation, and you stopped and you saw all the little stuff that was on the way there, and that really was a lot of fun to introduce her to. With that one, we went back to Iowa for a wedding, so we went through the Black Hills and saw all the monuments through there, and it was so much fun. And it's really a different way to look at it, and it's a lot of fun, and it's so worth it.
Hmm. That's cool. And as far as like when you travel to all these places or even in your area, is there do you come across like a lot of hobby stores?
So um, within like a mile and a half of me, I have a Hobby Lobby, and about 2 miles away, it's I think the only hobby town in the state,
Mm,
and that's about it.
yeah, man. Yeah, I've never been to a hobby town. Um, there's none around here where I live.
Oh, really?
There's only Hobby Lobbies around.
Okay.
There's a couple that are like 30 minutes away from different like one north and one south from where I'm at. And even a little furthermore north there's another one. So um those are as far as like a big like chain, those are the only ones that I've been to, but we do have. There's like nah, not a few. There's probably more. Maybe like six hobby stores, but they're different. Like some cater to like Gundam stuff, and then others just do like pretty much a little bit of everything. You know, with the cars, military, aircraft, and Gundams too.
And we have one here that is dedicated solely to RC stuff.
Mm, yeah, yeah, and you know, once in a while it's cool to like for me, like I like to like still see stuff and like get excited, like you know, even though like I could have like an online store like selling stuff, like I still once in a while go to we have like a Chinatown right here in downtown LA, and I like to look at all the Gundam stuff. It just kind of geek out like, and then I'm always like, oh, like you know, they got this Gundam kit or a tool or something, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it right now. Like, why not? So, but no, it's I'm always like curious about you know what's out there because I hear you know people say like you know some of the local shops are closed in my area or I don't have any local shops.
And we had some hobbies are not geared toward plastic models in Idaho. There's plenty of other hobbies that take a higher precedence of people's time.
Hmm.
It's just the one that I chose that I like, so it kind of all works out.
Yeah, man, I hope if not next year, but you know maybe in the following year that you guys come out to California. It'll be like pretty neat and like cool to like see you guys at a show, meet up. Is there any other because you had mentioned the GSL
Yep.
show. There's another one coming up, right? That are you gonna be going to that next year?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay.
We are definitely going to that one.
Yeah, exactly. I think Brandon was talking about something like that. Is it in May?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
probably the same show then that he was telling me about. All right. Yeah, man. And if not, maybe I need to get out of the state and explore out there, you know? Um, that would be pretty cool. And, you know, but now knowing, you know, and like the tips you shared, thanks for that. I definitely, you know, would definitely want to bring my family.
Yes, exactly. Because there's it's a family event.
Mm. Yeah. Because when my daughter was like 1 year old, you know, she was really wasn't no fan of like car rides. Like what she's in her car seat and already 30 minutes past and she's already like complaining, like wanting to get out of the seat, you know.
Oh,
And
my daughter's completely opposite to that. When she was growing up, I had mud tires on my Bronco. The
mhm.
best way to put her to sleep was those rough riding tires.
Yeah.
Out.
Dang. Yeah, after out. Dude, this one right here would want to get out and then I'm like, all right, and we would be talking about it going like, dude, I don't think we're going to be able to do like long trips. Like if we were wanted to go to like San Francisco or something, like how's she going to hang? We're going to have to get off the car like every 30 minutes or an hour. Like how's that going to work? But
Um,
now she's pretty chill now. Like now, you know, we go like couple hours and you know, she's chill and then she'll fall asleep. Um, but I don't know. I don't know how she'll do if it's anything longer than that, you know? Definitely probably have to pull over or something and take a break.
my daughter didn't really have a choice. She had to learn that in the car there was not much that could be done. At the point in time when she was born, we lived in like a suburb town, but it was two towns over. So it was 44 miles one way, but that was a 45-minute drive.
Mm.
And as soon as you get on the freeway, there's no place to get off. So she quickly became accustomed to, well, there's nothing that I can do. We can't stop to come out. And since then, that really helped her out. And it was out of a necessity that's just where we lived at.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. And as far as you know, going back to like the 3D stuff,
Uh-huh.
Do you like, how does it feel knowing, like, like for the JDM import stuff, like engines and things of that sort? Do you like it, incorporating that into your builds? Because most of those kits don't even come with any engines.
I do like making a curbside and non-curbside, um, but I also like leaving a curbside to curbside at times too.
Hmm.
Um, the the amount of JDM stuff is amazing. That's out there and can be had, and if you piece stuff together, it works really really well. Um, Back on my feed, probably like a week and a half ago or so, there's a JDM engine that's on there that's in a bluish purple cage work.
Okay.
All of
Yeah.
that's 3D printed.
Dang. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Have like, regarding like the wide body stuff, is that pretty hard to design? Like for any JDM, model, like if you want to do your own kind of take, your own design.
So design wise, I couldn't really tell you because I have yet to design one that is actually works. I've tried 3 or 4 times and I just can't get the right look. But most of the over fenders you can make work to most any car, just with a little bit of extra work, a little bit of extra um, pressure, and some heat. You can roll that resin to where it actually fits the body line that you're working with.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I wondered about like wide bodies and then also like engine bays.
Mm-hmm.
Just having like an engine bay 3D printed to insert into the car.
There's a couple of them that are out there. The tube frame is a insert for the Tamiya R32 GTR, and it's created by 19th Scale, I believe is what his name is. 19th 3D, and it's really really good. It it looks the part. It's engineered really really well, and you cut the old engine bay out, and this one glues in its place.
That's cool. I wanted to mention I like those confetti interior patterns that you used.
I love
Is
those
that like a
things.
water slide decal, or is it just kind of more of a print that you laid on there?
That's a that's a toothpick.
Oh, what?
Yeah, yeah,
Dang.
that's a toothpick.
Yeah, it looks tight. I don't know.
So that pattern
Mm-hmm.
is the HKS oil slick pattern,
Mm. Yeah, it looks nice.
and I just started doing it. I did that on the Prelude that I built for uh, a build off earlier this year, and it was a tryout. It was one of those times I'm working on the interior, working on I'm trying to perfect a new skill. Same way that Brandon's been doing with these paint jobs, just trying something out, seeing if it works. And I really liked it, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I wanted to recreate it for this car because I thought that the wildness of the wide body, of the big horsepower engine bay and confetti interior, I thought just fit.
Yeah, it looks cool. All these models, when you get them completed, how do you display them?
I went to IKEA and I bought one of their big display cases, and that's how I display them.
Nice. Yeah, cause yeah, I don't have a big display case. I just kind of put them in those like smaller plastic cases, those individual ones.
Yes.
I mean, they work for me right now, but I don't have the space. But I think in the future, if I have the space, a proper space, I definitely would want to get something bigger to just kind of put them all in there.
So the display cabinet that I have is probably 3 foot wide. It's probably 6.5 feet tall, It's got like 6 shelves in it, but it's expandable to where I could go and get some more glass and put more more shelves in it, and it works out really good. And I had like 4 different little china closets that I had a couple of cars here and a couple of cars there that I liquidated, and I just made one. That's my display case, and that is model car only.
Mm, that's cool. And as far as like your like the paints that you use on your bench, like for your builds, like the Tamiya ones, are you using like the lacquers or is it more the acrylic?
So my hobby town here has not decided to buy the lacquer stuff.
Mm.
So to get the lacquer stuff, I have to buy it elsewhere. Which my one of my last orders from you was for a bunch of lacquer Tamiya stuff. But I like the lacquer stuff a lot better.
Yeah, more than the acrylic.
Yep, the acrylics are really really nice.
Mm.
They made it even better with the lacquer line.
Dang. Yeah, cause I remember when before I acquired it, like started getting it in, my friend George, Vision 124 was like, dude, you need to get those lacquers. I've been hearing great
Yeah.
things and whatnot. And later he had gotten some, but he was highly recommending them. And but I couldn't get them yet. Like it was just kind of taking a while for them
Yep.
to get. And then once they were available, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start with the basic like colors, like the first numbers,
Yep.
and then I'll start adding more as I go because there's just a lot of different colors in the range in the numbers. So I'm still building up on that catalog there, but I um, I have heard great things of the paint.
I will vouch for them 100%. If I can use those, I will definitely use those.
Yeah, I just need to start getting like the bigger jars of the lacquer, the Tamiya lacquer. Um,
Okay.
because right now I only have like the little small ones, but I need to get those bigger ones. I just
I don't mind the small ones actually. They work really good for just enough paint to get a good project going. Granted, I still do a lot of detail brush paint with it. I have yet to airbrush the Tamiya lacquer,
yeah,
but
I've used it for brush, like
mm,
brush painting, like little details on there. But yeah, I haven't airbrushed it yet.
I'm sure that it airbrushes like any other lacquer does.
Yeah, man, that's crazy, dude. You got like so many dope builds, bro. Like so many different projects.
Thank you.
It's crazy. That's pretty sick, man. Yeah, I mean, just keep doing your thing. Keep it up, like, because I'm sure with the builds and things that you're doing, you're definitely inspiring a lot of people, right there. You know, and it's just like keep expanding and learning everything that you're doing, especially with the 3D printing, because I'm sure in the future you're gonna come out with some stuff that I'm pretty sure it's gonna benefit the community as well.
I hope so. I mean, that's the what's the saying? If you're not learning, you're dying. I think is what they say it is. And I try to learn
Yeah.
something in every situation that I can, whether it be a new technique, whether it be modifying the old way that I was doing it, um, with 3D printing, asking questions. There's quite a few people that I've asked questions to that have really been such a huge part of my success. And then there's times that I thought I knew what I was doing, and I start learning a little bit more, and no, I didn't know anything of what I was doing. I was doing it all backwards and just getting lucky enough to complete it. So it's you got to try. You miss 100% of the chances you don't take. So there's no reason not to take a chance.
Yeah. You're right. Is there any shout outs, any final words before we wrap up this episode that you would like to share uh with us?
I would like to thank everybody that's helped me along the way and let me learn and just made this world a better place. And this is a hobby that we all have such love for that we can all share, and it's so nice. I'd like to thank Brandon and my admin teams over at uh, Now or Never and at the Model Car. I'd like to thank you for having me on here. This has been awesome. I've had a great time.
That's cool. Thanks, Mike. I mean, this was awesome talking with you, and I look forward to having you back on in the future. Who knows, man? Maybe we could get all three of you guys on the admins together. Um,
I think I think
on
that'd be awesome.
that'd be pretty cool to have you guys like chop it up too and stuff like that. Just see that dynamic, pretty much. Keep up the good work with your builds, 3D printing, and also with the build ops as well. They're very key, definitely very key for a lot of model builders. There's a lot of pluses and just things that come out of that right there.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
and
100%.
and for the listeners, if you guys want to check out Mike's work on Instagram, it's at Northwind Customs 208. So make sure you check him out on there. I will link his Instagram page to the show notes, and also when I post the episode on Instagram, I'm gonna tag him as well, so you guys can check out his work and make sure you follow as well. So thank you, man. I hope you have a good night, and we'll keep in touch.
Always, always. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.